This is a story and a warning, and I'm serious about this. Always block your webcam. Duct tape is the easier, but there are plenty of other ways. Look, I don't care how safe you think you are, you can't be a target. Anybody can be a target. There are people out there who can hack into your computer and turn on your camera without your knowledge. They can watch you anytime when you think you're alone. They aren't really even called hackers, they're called watchers, rather. Now, I'm going to warn you about this because of my own encounter with a watcher. I was targeted when I entered an online chat room for a Reddit page. I thought it was harmless, even though it was for horror enthusiasts. I started making some friends in the chat and revealed maybe just a little bit more about myself than I should have. That included physical characteristics, being a redhead, thick in the chest but slender in the waist, big eyes, sweet face, etc. I figured it would be helpful for people to put a face with a name, so I even sent them a picture. Maybe it was too sexy a picture, I don't really know. Maybe I made a few friends and had fun talking with them. Then someone specific took a liking to me. He said his name was Seamus, pronounced it Seamus, for the longest time until he had actually corrected me. We would chat in the room for hours. Soon it moved to Skype. I never did video chat, only ever typed, that was all we did. And I figured it was actually pretty innocent. He said he was around my age, and that we actually had a lot in common, such as we were both gamers, we both loved computers, and, well, we both actually had cats. He was funny and sweet, and I really liked chatting with him. But soon he started asking me these really weird questions. Like one day he asked me if I had a bunk bed. I said no. But he kept pushing me, telling me he had this feeling that I had a bunk bed. I mean, truthfully, I did, but why would I share that? Finally, I relented and told him, and it was a weird moment, but it's just a weird moment. I brushed it off. Next, he started guessing my favorite bands, and it was really strange. It's like he could read my mind. He even guessed my favorite movie, Shakespeare in Love. I didn't like our conversation so much anymore after these weird things started happening. He knew way too much about me. He started asking me if I knew how to dance. I said no, but he pushed me to try. And then he said no one is watching you. Just dance around right now in your bedroom. I told him I did, but I didn't. He told me he knew I didn't do it, and he was disappointed in me. He said he wouldn't even talk to me again if I just kept on lying to him. That's when I noticed the little blue light on my webcam was on. Thank God I've never used the webcam, so it was thrown haphazardly to the side of my desk. It didn't capture my face or body at all, just the bed and the wall of posters behind it. And I cringed a bit, and then went to work. Watchers are idiots. They think they're immortal because of the cyberspace between them and the victim. They usually assume the person on the other end is just a dumb newbie who's never hacked a site in their life. Some watchers are just young girls who think it's funny to see into people's bedrooms, but most watchers like to jerk off while their victims sit unknowingly. Like a fetish voyeur thing, I guess. I typed to him, "You really want me to dance for you?" And he typed back nearly instantaneously, yes, exclamation marks and all. The thing about watchers is that they never do anything beyond watching. They're fucking cowards. They get their jollies and then they move on. But us visitors, we do more than watch. So I flipped on my view of his webcam. Of course, after all, I'm a much better hacker than him, so his light never turns on. Rookie mistakes, right? Seamus, being an older man sitting in a boring room, probably a study, had his dick out in his hands and was eagerly waiting for me to come into view of the camera. Now, let me put things into context. We were talking about 2 months, and he hadn't had one glimpse of me. Pretty stupid if you ask me. So I gave him what he had asked for. On his screen, he saw the back of a girl's head rise into vision, leans closer, almost drooling. Then I turned the body to face him. This girl's decomposed face filled his screen. Now, she's been dead for months, so her face was a fleshy pit of maggots and half-eaten eyes. Seamus, whose real name is Ron, I knew this, by the way, screamed and nearly squeezed his dick off. But he wasn't really expecting to see a cute little redhead, right? To actually be an adult woman with a propensity for violence. Then I turned the camera to my face. Now, at this point, I'm usually wearing a black ski mask. Ron tried desperately to turn the feed off, but I had locked it. He was stuck. I had laid the body of the dead girl over my lap, pushed on one of her cheeks until it sank deep into the skull. Ron vomits, but he didn't leave the room. And I then wrote him these two lovely love notes. Don't bother looking for him. I'm typing this from his computer right now. As you can see, you should always put duct tape over your camera. That way, you don't get those disgusting watchers seeing into your life without any permission. But the best part about that duct tape, though, is that it provides a challenge to us visitors. And that makes it hard to find you. But don't worry. We always do. Alright, now that one I wanted to specifically read because it really harkened back to all those lovely mindfuck creepypastas you ended up reading, except this one is what I would like to just dub as the lovely twist ending. Now, as we began on, we realized that we had an all too real scare with people hacking our webcams. It's why for almost every time that I use my webcam, I only use it for streaming or recording or having the general talk with somebody, and then I connect it to my computer. Other than that, I always completely disconnect the webcam entirely, just because I'm one of those people who believes, just to keep my privacy up in the bay, and I don't trust it at all, even though I'm never the one to download malware that could potentially open up my webcam to potential hackers at all. I tend to do it just because of a general practice of mine. And would I recommend you do it? Probably so, just because, if you do happen to download some weird things, at least your face isn't the first compromised thing entirely, especially a lot of those women out there. People can probably get you changing in your room or something like that if your computer is in that general direction, if you happen to be downloading a lot of those illicit movies over the internet, right? But just a general security caution right over there. And the fact that it is real is one of the scarier parts of the story as well. So, yes, webcams can be hacked, and the LED light indicator on your webcam isn't exactly a great tool to be having that'll let you know if you have been hacked or not. Sometimes that can bug out. Some people can fuck around with the system enough so that it doesn't really show it out there. But hey, you can use it as a general rule of thumb to know when your webcam is recording or when it is active. But remember, that LED is not the only thing that lets you know if things are completely active or not. Now, moving on, that being completely said, story-wise, we have an individual who basically goes onto a forum on Reddit, writes onto the fact that they are they have a sweet face, thick in the chest, slim everywhere else, and alongside that, we have individuals who would obviously be very inclined to get into this person's webcam and see a beautiful lady, possibly in a more risque environment, possibly in a more revealing tone, so to speak, these watchers. And halfway into the story, we twist into the fact that the person being hacked isn't exactly as innocent as they had initially let on. See, for the fact that they were being watched, they were something called the Visitor, went off, hunted this dude down, and actually had killed them. And the fact is, if you obviously had read through towards the end, you would realize that the beginning was just a way for them to bait the potential watcher by putting a picture of them out there, probably not a real one, I don't know, and then having the whole descriptions of them being all tantalizing, so to speak, and people were obviously attracted to that, very, pervy individuals, the pervy individual watches, and 2 months later they get completely iced. That was a point where I genuinely got kind of freaked out reading into it, because it was just one of these sharp turns into this eye-opening conclusion that I want more stories to do. If a story is going to be short, at least have that punch, spit with a creepypasta right in your face. That's what I love the most about it, too. That is actually one of my favorite things, and I have to say this is probably one of my favorite creepypastas in a long time, because the actual premise of it is very real. Your webcams can totally be hacked without you knowing, so remember that and be very, very about it. And the fact that there are people like this out there on the internet that will watch you, but there's probably a subset of people that probably treat it like a game, and hey, if you had everything to you and life was going great and this was your fetish, maybe some people end up actually wanting to visit you later on, like this lady would too. Now, I don't think that this would probably happen in real life given the situation. You know, you got to put yourself into a suspension of disbelief with creepypastas on the internet. Not all of them can be real, obviously. But the fact is, there's got to be some crazy individuals out there psychotic enough to be doing this kind of stuff at the end of the day. And maybe that's just believing a bit about that is what makes this kind of stuff scary to begin with. So while we didn't have demons popping out or haunted game cartridges or Bootman Bill selling games to kids without their knowledge of what's really spooky inside them, we have a story where we have a simple premise of a webcam being hacked, a pervy individual, somebody that we can trust in the beginning that turns out to be a interesting visitor, we like to call in this story's context, at the end, leaving us with a weird feeling inside where we should heed the advice of this individual, but we should also be very wary because, like they say, simply duct taping a webcam or trying to block you from showing up could easily entice them to hunt you down even further because, after all, it's just a game. And they want to play this out to the complete end of it. So whether you duct tape your webcam or not, maybe you might just be lucky leaving it over there, letting somebody watch, because hey, duct tape your webcam and end up having a visitor watching, then they'll probably end up finding you, coming out to where you're at, and doing you in. So at the end of the day, it's a story that, you know, we can take home and leave where it's at. Is it something to really be pissing yourself over tonight? Maybe, but don't worry, I don't think you'd be killed anytime soon. But that being said, take the actual initial premise out of this very carefully. Make sure you don't get hacked. Make sure your webcam isn't recording you while you're doing some risque things or something revealing of yourself, and just be careful. At the end of the day, this has been another episode of Creepypastas, part of Aint Gaming. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. This is me, Moodar, and I am out.